let us go in peace.
Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Thalmor Radio. Yeah, he's coming at you. Oh no, he won't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
You may have noticed something different about the itinerary, and that is that instead of doing internals, politics, war, guest, in real life and guest has been switched. I will still do internals, which there's only one, and politics and war, in which there are only three. But then we're jumping straight to Prefontaine, and I'm doing this for two reasons. Number one is Prefontaine is here to talk about the game and development of the game. And number two is it's unusual these days to have a guest, and I don't want to turn people away talking about gay politics. So I'm saving that for last, and that is why that is going. So let's talk about how I can learn how to become Super Saiyan, and I'm working out. The thing is that I don't want to go to any gyms because I'm lazy and I don't want to do the extra driving. Not COVID, big board. COVID is not a concern. I'm just lazy. And I have enough subscriptions as is, like Amazon and Xbox Gold and Netflix and Funimation and Crunchyroll and Pornhub and a few other things. So I don't need to add like a gym subscription as well, right? I need to conserve my funds, not give them out already. Like I think my OnlyFans bill is like almost in the 4-figure range per month. And it's like an extra $12 to Planet Fitness. No, I need it is time to initiate austerity measures for Thalmor's personal estate. So a gym membership is not happening. But I still need to get stronger. I still need to learn how to become Super Saiyan. So instead what I found was a thing. Well, that's not actually what I want, but maybe it's okay anyways. Okay, so my ability to do things has betrayed me. Come on, you stupid piece of fucking. There it is. Holy shit. I think this is it. Yeah, so this is my exercise routine. It's the Franco Man dumbbell only splint. So I bought some dumbbells off of Amazon and I've been using them. And this is the exercise regimen I've been using. And I like it because whenever I do it, I can feel like I hurt are killing themselves to rebuild, which is exactly what they should be doing. Zig has just killed me with words once again. I can't do this. I cannot deal with the abuse from Zig and be this tired at the same time. So Soup, play the theme. Good night.
Does that mean I have to do the show? What did I miss? Is he already done? He actually.
Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Thalmor Radio. Yeah, he's coming at you from the top. Oh no, no, he won't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
Thanks for
Just
waiting to
kidding.
start. Thanks for waiting to start the show for me to show up. I was surprised you started so
You're
late.
welcome. Well, I got to talking about how to watch anime, and I went through. This was my very first topic. So what's really cool about the Franco Man exercise thing, though, like it hits every muscle group on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Although Friday is like 2 days in one. There's like fucking 9 different things for that day, and it's the hardest. But and you can do it all with dumbbells, which is great because I don't have any other equipment. So I use the dumbbells and I get the workout in, and I've been doing it since last week. Wednesday before last, then that Friday, then last Monday, then last Wednesday. I have not done it today because I've been out pretty much all day and now I'm tired. So instead, I'm going to do Friday stuff tomorrow and then resume normal stuff Monday. So that's what's going on with me. I like it. And I did some research because I'm insecure, and people on Reddit also said this was a like Reddit nerds and freaks who are better than me at this kind of stuff. They all said this was a good workout thing. So there you guys go. If you're looking for a home exercise thing and you're spending too much money on OnlyFans to afford a gym subscription, there's you a thing. So let us all become stronger together so that we can all go Super Saiyan and then overthrow the government. Because that's really. Let's talk about politics and war. There's been a lot of little things I was a bit frustrated during the itinerary because a lot of little things have happened and none of them are really significant enough to be their own topic. So I'm just going to use the minor events roundup thing to hit all of them. So number one, Benfro is no longer leader of TKR. I think now it's Wizzle. Is Wizzle the big nerd leader of TKR? Weisel? Is it Wizzle or Weisel?
Weissel.
Weisel? Weisel?
That's what I say in my head. It sounds more German that way.
It does. Maybe we should just call him Führer. Führer Weisel has taken control of TKR, and that's cool. I like Weisel. I hope he does well as leader of TKR. Was Benfro a good leader of TKR? I guess he was. But I don't know. He freaked out really hard over Los Polos Hermanos, and I dunked on him really hard. That was fun. But just because I dunked on, like, you're allowed to, like, that Benfo is gone now than they were before? Probably not, but like the game overall is better. Because if you just want to lead your alliance into being the best, then you end up with like an MPO type situation. So I'm not sure if that's even a good metric either. So, I mean, TKR is still leader of its own sphere. That's good. TKR is still a competent alliance. That's good. So I don't know if I can really say he's been a bad leader. So I guess he was fine. TKR isn't much better with Ben Fogon because Adrian is still not the leader. Though Ben was an FA head, I think they had it separate. They have it separate from leader. Well, I mean, the fund. What is the role of an alliance leader? That is an important question. That is probably a question best left up to each individual alliance. But I think a good fallback philosophy for that is a leader's job is to put people in place below him to run the alliance. A good leader is a good people manager. A good leader is to have a good FA head. A good leader is to have a good IA head. A good leader is basically like a good manager of staff. That's what a leader is. And maybe like a leader should also have some FA like primalcy. Like FAs can all like the leader can do FA, but like maybe only the FA head should, and like the leader is like second command of FA, even if FA has a second command guy already. Like, which I guess then makes the actual FA second in command to like third in command. So that's a little weird, but that's okay.
Consolidating an upper tier for a while. Yar is about staying out of conflict. NPO is trying to take over the fucking world. So it really depends on being able to give the members what they want in that alliance. And it's not going to be everyone. You not going to be able to please everyone. Grumpy was about that for a while when you first started. Were you in the original group when they first broke off from VE? Because they were all about trying to not play in politics. They were quasi what Yar was or is. They were about fucking moving out of the way. And then the leader's main role is to steer the ship. You figure out what your direction is. You have a game plan of what you need to do, short term, medium term, and long term, and you try to satisfy those goals. And you are constantly readjusting what your short term goals are. And then you want to be the main political voice for your alliance in the public arena. You don't necessarily have to be the head of FA, but you need to be the person on the forums making the posts or in Discord having the presence. You need to be that public figurehead. And then using that ability, you can kind of be the main person in your sphere.
Thank you, Pre. And what Borg said is, what do members want? No taxes and free grants. And that's why I said that the role of a good leader is probably determined by the community. So what Pre is describing, that the role of the leader is to give the members what they want, that worked for Terminus as, and that same goal worked for KT. But obviously, Terminus S and KT are like outliers compared to what most other alliances are like. And so for a quote regular alliance, what is the role of the leader? And I still like my definition, although I'm open to others. Congrats to Wizzle for being leader. I hope Benfro enjoys retirement, and that's all I gotta say about that. House Stark is now old enough to begin kindergarten. I say we all start a GoFundMe to give House Stark a cute little pink and blue backpack for the first day at kindergarten. I have nothing else to say about that because I have no thoughts on House Stark. House Stark to me seems like I would consider all Nexus Alliance to be at a slightly above average level of average competence. But like, isn't House Stark's leader? Hasn't he been? It's been the same dude for 5 years, right? That's impressive. Good on him. Because that's hard to do. Because for most people, there's no greater thing that will like burn you out more than being a leader. That's being a competent long-term leader of an alliance is like that takes a special type of person to do. Same thing with like competently doing FA. Like your abysses and your partisans, like those are unique people. So that's difficult. There were 2 other things, and I don't remember what they were. Justinian's Roman alliance is 100 days old. That's cool. And some alliances are able. How do I want to word this? How do I want to best get this thought out of my head and vomit it into the voice waves here? The sound waves. There are some alliances. Obviously, your priority is, as is the priority of most alliances, is how do you get as many members as possible? And if you're planning to do an alliance from scratch, a smart thing to do would be to pick a theme that is cool. KT benefited pretty well from the whole Templar thing, especially in our earlier years. When I created KT in 2017, Templar memes were all the rage. Everyone was shitposting about Templars. I think Warhammer 40k is a good theme. Justinian has the whole Roman thing going on. I think that's good. Something recognizable and something cool. That is a good pathway to go for mass recruitment. So do that, and you could have success probably. There was a 4th story. I don't remember what it was. Let me go back to Alliance Affairs. That's what this is. This is Los Polos Hermanos is fighting 770 for some reason. The declaration of war says that for spoiling the Bible. Is there something to that? Or is that just like a made-up thing? Because I'm trying to think, how would they spoil the Bible? Like, oh, Christ gets crucified. But I was in the book of Luke. How could you tell me that? Like, spoil the book of Revelation? Like that, spoiling the book of Revelation, that is something I would hear at church. would be the pastor gets up and yells, "But we know how this war ends. God wins in the end. Amen, amen." Like, I mean, that's cool, I guess, but I don't think 770 did that. Okay, so apparently it's made up, and they want an excuse to raid. That's fine. I mean, it's not like 770 can really protect itself. It's not like they haven't made it really easy to want to thrash them. So, oh, and did Black Skies disband? They did, didn't they? Is Black Sky still around? I don't think they are. They did? Alan left. They're still around. Oh, okay. I don't think disbanded.
Alan just got canceled, right? That's all that happened.
There was an attempt to cancel him, and then he canceled himself. Oh, did he find delete? He's gone now? Well, rip. That, like... I still hold that the death... If people really did make death threats against Alan, that is super messed up, and those people should be named and shamed. Like, even if those screenshots weren't fake, like, that's still, I think, unacceptable behavior. But anyways, Roman theme is really good for attracting autistic neckbeards. There is no better member to have, though, than an autistic neckbeard, because they will show up to every blitz. They will log in every day. They will gladly optimize their cities the best way possible. You want autistic neckbeards to comprise your alliance. But
Thalmor made his entire alliance based on that.
Exactly. Like, not even like you think like the membership of KT wasn't normal, and that's what made us so great. I'm not even joking. Don't get me wrong, I like the guy with fixed screen to death as fucked. I was talking to him during that time. For those who don't know, some fixed screenshot. Okay, that's just describing what happened with Alan. I think it's all the stories for this week. Not much happened. Lots of stories.
Can I add something with 770 thing? So 770 was an alliance led by Green that was a Christian-based alliance, and because it's a Christian-based alliance, I was watching it to try to see what was going to happen, and it was pretty clear from the moment I joined their Discord that it was like dying, super dying. There was one player that was like, "Hey, I need help. I need help with a raider in a public channel," and there was no response. And it was like, "Oh, I can respond." So I proceeded to message every single member of the alliance, and in that time, let me see if I can give a screenshot of how many people left in that time. It's been precipitous.
And while you gather that,
Yeah.
Tate's Discord does that cringe thing where they have like 30 rooms, even though it's an alliance of like 2 people, and that's always a bad look. Like, it's similar to how a micro will have like 15 gov positions, but 13 of them say vacant. It's like, you really should just remove those. It doesn't look pretty.
So I messaged their
a lot of scope.
They were at, I want to say they were at like 40 when I messaged their entire membership except for Green and Rob. They're down to 16 and most of those people are inactive. Oddly enough, a lot of them said they just wanted to stick around in a dying alliance that they knew was dying. But when I asked 770 if they wanted to do something about how they were just gonna fall apart, the answer that I got was probably the most. I don't even know if it was cool or just dumb, but it was basically. Let me get the screenshot. Basically said, we're too busy. So Green doesn't even talk. Green doesn't bother responding. But
Who did you talk to?
Rob. So as the screenshot says, quite honestly, I don't really care about P&W anymore. It's no longer of interest. And it's like, oh great, the only person that responds is not interested in the actual game. And then the whole reason that they're actually sticking around is basically out of spite.
That's the only emotion in this game these days.
Says also the fact that our continued existence seems to really annoy some people gives me a petty reason to hang around. So the only reason that they exist is to spite the people that are currently raiding them. Yeah, you gotta admire their gumption,
That is
but
actually kind of
at the same time, it's still kind of dumb. Why bother? Waste your time.
No, I think it's actually kind of based. It's like they're able to do nothing but still make people mad, and that is kind of funny. I like Rob. I've known Rob since 2016, I think. Yeah, early 2016. He's a cool dude. I've talked to him off and on through the years. But I don't want to say too much about him. I don't know what he would appreciate me saying or not. But he's a cool dude. I think you would like him too, Zig. But he doesn't care about politics and war, so I don't know how receptive he would be to discussing things. I think that was it. So kind of. I was about to do the final call. I almost skipped the divine phoenix divine phoenix empire. Did I get it right? Is that right? Divine Phoenix Empire? Double penetration experience. Oh man. Every straight girl's dream. What the fuck is their name? People, you guys have to help me. I'm dumb. Is that their name? Defined Phoenix Empire? What's their name? DPE. Yes, that's it. I got it right. Awesome. I'm going to check Ron to make sure. Royal Orbis News. I think it was in the tidbits section. Uh-oh, I fucked that up. Tidbits. What's it called? Yes, I did get it right. Yay! So they're fighting Arrgh for some reason, and I'm not really sure why. Wait, Jaden, can you tell me why? Are you leader? Is he leader? I'm going to look. Alliance ID 8173. Come on, you piece of shit load.
Clearly, he does need to rename it to the double penetration experience.
About us. After thousands of years of existence and of 1,000 years of... What was it, Pri?
I think he should definitely rename the alliance to the double penetration experience.
That would be pretty cool. Defined Phoenix Island has left their ancestral home as the founders of old did. Okay, we are the Defined Phoenix Empire. While our factions are varied in their interests, above all else, we are a brotherhood of warriors. We are united by our purpose to bring about honor and prosperity to all our people, to cultivate and reach higher realms than ever thought possible. The Defined Phoenix is thus a sect of visionaries. We are unafraid to stand for what we believe, whether that be through the pen or the sword, through the vermilion bird or the blue Luan? Luen? And so watch on as all either join our ranks of our sect or fall to the Defined Phoenix. Uh-oh, guys. I don't want to fall to the Defined Phoenix.
Don't worry, you'll cut yourself on the edges on the way down.
Will I cut my edges on the way down as they cultivate and reach higher realms than ever thought possible? Than ever thought possible? Oh no! Jaden! Than ever thought possible? No, buddy! No! No! How could you? Okay. No, you guys even got the vacant government position thing going on. I mean, it's not that bad because, like, I even think maybe Hand of Fate might have that a little bit, but that's okay. Maybe. Wow, 118 members. Number 14. I thought this was like a more of a mid-range alliance, but no, this is a top 15 alliance. Huh. We have a second commander. He just resigned. Gotcha. It was Rose's training AA. They merged. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a merge. Duh. Okay, so Jaden, I'm going to unmute you, and I want you to explain what the fuck's been happening with Arrgh. Okay. You are unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, what specific questions do you have about the artwork?
First and foremost, who designed your theme?
It was designed by a dude who wrote a book.
Quality vague answer.
Jaden, I can barely understand you. I think your mic is really bad. Do you have any alternatives? Do you have an alternative mic?
Yeah, 1 second.
All right.
So, Thalmor, you tried to throw it to last call a minute ago. Does that mean I'm after last call, or did you forget about me?
No, I'll be like talking to you in like a dedicated fashion after I do the final call, which will be after I talk to Jaden about what happened between them and Arrgh.
All right, I'm gonna go grab a drink then.
That's fine.
This is a good chance to stay hydrated.
Well, we are dealing with the Defined Phoenixes, so you don't want to catch on fire. So you want to drink lots of water so you can sweat and not catch on fire. Unless you live in a wet bulb temperature area, in which case your sweat will only cook you to death. It's okay.
Yo.
Hi, Jaden. Say something else.
Hi, kids.
That's better.
Okay.
So Jaden, what the fuck happened between you guys and Arrgh?
Okay, so basically, Arrgh were kind of displeased with us because we would hit their members in unprovoked wars, specifically usually the inactive members, and they didn't really like that. So I think they tried to contact someone in our alliance previously about it, but I don't know where that ended up. I think it was someone in the previous administration, and so they launched a war against us.
Okay, and how did that war go?
Well, you did see my announcements on. Um, the reason why I asked people to base was because this war was. I predicted it was going to end in like less than 2 days. There wasn't really a point to cycling, but then it seemed like it wasn't. But then it ended anyways. Basically, R wanted us to stop declaring unprovoked wars on them. Counters were still perfectly legal, and no, we didn't have to pay reps like people think we did. So I basically FA'd myself out of the situation.
That's cool. So it's over now? You already done?
Yeah, it was a simple deal, to be honest.
I mean, your members probably got some experience. It could have been a lot worse. I've seen Arrgh really thrash some people, and that's not what really happened in this case. That's kind of all I got to say about it. Oh, when will you guys change your name to the Double Penetration Experience?
Unofficially, April 1st, 2022.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
I'll see about you getting a flag made for
5
that.
or so months from now. Okay.
See ya.
Dead air.
Thalmor fell asleep.
Dead air.
Sorry for the dead air. I was just forming this contract. So, and I will be holding all future Gov members of DPE to this. So we'll see how that goes.
I'll just
This is
stage a
something
fake coup. Rid myself of this.
I don't know what Jane. Okay, I don't really know what Jane is saying because this mic is still kind of bad, but that's okay. Thank you, Jane, for coming on and talking about the war with Arrgh. And that's kind of it for that. Final call, politics and war. Any last things I need to go over before I talk to Pri about what's going on with game development? Did I miss a funny thread? Did I miss a funny thing? Did I miss like I don't know something? Rating meta needs to be stopped. We'll talk about it though. Who's rating Facebook? Facebook doesn't have a presence on politics and war, except for sometimes when I visit a page in the game, the little loading thing at the bottom left says it's connecting to Facebook. That's really fucking weird. I don't know what's up with that. But that's an entirely different thing. And yes, if Defiant Phoenix Empire doesn't become Double Penetration Experience, that is a CV. All right, it's time to talk to Prefontaine about game development. Prefontaine, I feel like you have a list of topics to rattle off, so I'm just going to let you pop off, King. What do you want to get off your chest about what's going on behind the scenes?
Well, first and foremost, Alex has hired I don't want to say full-time moderator, but a moderator that has no affiliation to the game outside of getting paid to play it for a couple weeks to familiarize themselves with the content a little bit in terms of how the game actually works, what to know in terms of being able to have impartial moderation on game violations, to handle reports, to handle forum requests, which will actually make it so Alex doesn't have to spend all of his time dealing with people complaining about shit. Is this wrong?
I really like the idea of it being someone from outside the community because there's my concern of mods acting on like a bias, and because there's this phenomena where, and I knew that this happened, but to hear an attorney confirm it made me feel good. But like, this is a game of politics, and when when you support a side or you have to support a side, you familiarize yourself with the arguments and you put yourself into a mindset where you will shill for that side no matter what. I have done this. I've seen Kev do it. I've seen Kev argue one way for a certain thing, be on a different side in the game on another day, and then kind of like shill for the opposite. Like, I've seen this happen, and like I've the way this attorney described it was that he would get a new client, would kind of roll his eyes at the case, but then when he was in the courtroom arguing for the case, he actually like even emotionally like bought into the narrative he was spinning. So like, which is what an attorney is supposed to do. An attorney's job number one is to advocate passionately and the best that he can on behalf of his client's interests. And I think ideally that's what a good FA person would also do for his alliance. I think it's what a good member would do for his alliance in the game, is to passionately take up his alliance's position and agitate for it. And so, where was I going with this?
New
And
moderation
so,
bias.
thank you. And because of that phenomena, I like the idea of mods being from outside the community. And I also like that it sounds like he played the game a little bit, so he can kind of figure out the mechanics. That's also good.
Yeah, I'm in what I believe is the highest level moderation channel. There could be more that I don't know about, but I'm pretty sure I'm in the top one. And I refuse to be a moderator for the game itself. I just kind of serve an advisory role and kind of like a person watching the watchers sort of kind of thing, I guess. But whenever there's something involving someone I've had close history with, for better or worse, I kind of just step back and observe rather than giving my input at all. I doubt Shifty's going to be on that.
Gotcha. Um. So what else is going on?
We've got the city, or not city update, the leader role update expansion. Alex has told me it's basically in its final phases, so I'm hopeful that'll be out before November, which will give people more permission sets for government, more roles customized for government to have them more structured, especially for the larger alliances. And then after that, the treasure trading system is going to be put into place. I've got the draft for that to go to the coder, and I'm not. That one shouldn't take nearly as long as the permission set, because there's a lot of little tweaking that happens with that.
Yeah, the gov role thing that he's doing right now, he's definitely doing quite a bit on it because the test server is absolutely broken right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of like with all the different permission sets. There's a lot of different things that's touching. Um, I wrote the draft of what needs to be impacted and what goes where and all that, and then he put it into kind of game coding terms for the coder, and he's working with them. So it's one of those things that there's a lot of moving parts in this one. So rather than rush it, it's just we're going slow with it. But once that's done, and with him having the moderator, I imagine they'll be kind of well up to speed by the end of this calendar year, and should be able to do a lot of the work without needing too much oversight unless there's serious issues, and then the whole moderation team kind of come together and discuss them. And with
So
good.
with more government positions being added, like more tiers, um, does that also like? Are there going to be other ways to customize an alliance to go with them, or is that pretty much all staying the same for now?
For now, that's staying the same. Alliance-wide embargoes are probably going to come out sometime in the next couple months. Don't quote me on that one for sure. It's in the approval category. I just don't know when that's going to come out. quality of life things kind of happen in spurts when they're not heavily required coded things. So that might be tied in with a whole bunch of little updates.
How will the alliance-wide embargoes mechanic work?
So in theory, the concept is going to be someone with the appropriate alliance permissions issues Alliance A is alliance or embargoing Alliance B. All nations will get a notification to their nation that their alliance has chosen to embargo this other alliance, and since they're in that alliance, it defaults them into that category. But that notification, well, it should probably be a message because it should include a link to prompt that player to be able to remove it if they so choose. Because some people won't know how to get there because it's not an often used tab. So it'll default the members into that category, but they will be notified and give the option to opt out. And this will allow for more levels of politics in terms of being able to effectively have a sphere embargo and alliance because they're being dicks.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I understand the argument of like, well, if you want an alliance to mass embargo another one, like just have people do it. But also, it's like it. It can be hard to move a community to do even something that mundane. Like
Yeah.
I've seen how it can be a little difficult just to mobilize people to vote on the color block. So being able to kind of semi-automate that sounds like it would be useful for like the decision makers of alliances
And
who are
when
kind of
that change comes out, there's I'm hopeful to have another small change to go with that. So anyone that your alliance is allied to, their trades will show up on the market in a different color. So you'll see it in maybe it'll be have a faint green highlight over it to show this is someone who's an ally. You might want to choose to buy from them, even if it's not the cheapest by a couple price per units. You can go down and find someone that's on an ally and be trading with them, and then there'll be even a different color code for something that's on an internal market. Because right now, no one really uses the shared trade market. But this way, if those shared trade markets appear on the global market, but say it's highlighted in orange or something, then you can know this is, it's an internal one. Only people that are in our alliance's shared market can see this. So if you see something that's way under value in the market, you can go and grab it because it'll typically those inter alliance deals are usually below regular market value.
I like that because sometimes I will go out of my way to buy from an allied member. So that's pretty cool. I
Yeah,
also
we want to
like
make it
what
easier
Killbob
for people who
says.
aren't as experienced to be able to do that because it's easier when you know what's going on and you're a little more familiar with the political end of the game. But we're in someone who's only maybe this is your first nation sim game, maybe you've only been playing for a couple months, or maybe it's your first global. This way they can have an easier way to visualize I should be buying from these people, not necessarily my enemy.
I like what Killbob says, which I can see it being used to force A's to die. First off, there's a lot of people who trade, so like to actually significantly deny trading to an alliance would require like a lot would have to happen to get to that point.
Another
Maybe
API.
not so much to make it more expensive by even a decent margin, but to actually to make it so expensive that it impedes the overall success of the alliance. That alliance would have fucked up massively. We're talking like a TAFE or a Goons.
Let's
Like
let's let's expand on that. Let's say Arg has pissed off enough people where over half the game or almost all the game has embargoed Arg. So now Arg has to pay a premium to get resources from an alliance that might still be willing to trade with them. So all of a sudden a political dynamic spawns because of that. Because now Arg is still being supplied, and so the people that are still supplying them might now get hate from the people who want to see Arg be embargoed. So now a war might start off with people supplying them. It creates a depth for Yeah, there will be the you can leave and then rejoin kind of stuff. That sort of thing, we're gonna have some troubleshooting fixes, and we're gonna talk about how to limit some of that. Like, let's say you leave an alliance and that alliance was embargoed by a group. You might have to wait X amount of turns before you can actually make trades. It might be something like, say you have 100 days of alliance seniority, maybe then you have to wait for 100 turns to pass. Maybe it'll cap out something to that degree.
And that I would love to be a fly on the wall when the first foreign affairs gov member has to negotiate with a group of alliances on how to end a trade embargo against them, because that would be like a first ever thing with no FA precedent on how to fix. That sounds exciting to me because I'm a nerd.
And if this ends up going well enough, the embargo route, then we're going to look at possibly including a tariff. So instead of straight embargoing, you can put a penalty on anything sold. So you can buy from them if you need, but it's going to be a more expensive rate for anyone in that alliance. So you can embargo a sphere, give tariffs and things of that nature. So you can start negotiating those sort of things. So that's my hope if the alliance-wide embargo and alliance stuff becomes feasible and do go well. And I'm just looking at the chat, kind of go a little nuts for a second there.
This tariff idea actually sounds more exciting than the mass alliance embargo.
But we need the alliance embargo in place to kind of build off of it.
Do you though? Why do you need it?
Oh, it's just it'll operate on the same infrastructure, and doing the all or nothing method.
Oh, like mechanically.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because with the code, you have to like be able to. I know nothing. I know very little about programming, but I think I can see how like you'd have to be able to identify which alliance is doing what to another alliance, and okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So it's just one of the that's like a 3-part plan over the next year of if it keeps working, we can keep building upon it and make more of the economic uh, idea of the game work a little better, and then maybe the culmination of it would be commodities finally rolling out too. It's been put heavily on the back burner.
So, I reread our DMs, and you also had some stuff about rating to talk about.
Yeah, Mr. C just pinged the actual topic in a way. So, 2 things are going to happen. One, I've gotten permission to lower cities' impact on score. It might even be back down to 50. So, with that change will come also the change of there being a hard cap on down declares. So, it'll be a sliding scale. It's obviously not going to be like 10 all the way across the board. So these aren't the numbers, but it would look something like, okay, at city 5, you can only declare down to city 2. At city 6, it's still 2. Then 7, like the hard bottom becomes 3. And then it starts moving up. And eventually, when you're at city 30, maybe you can only declare down to city 21, et cetera, et cetera. So there will still be the range, but there will be a hard cap on how far down you can go for every city number up to some threshold. And then at that point, it just becomes the range.
Fatu says, so it won't matter. It kind of sounds like it doesn't matter, though. What's the point in
the idea
lowering?
is to be able to make it so you can't sell off all of your military and have no infrastructure, kind of like what Arrgh did to before they moved on from rating test, where they had no infra, decently high military, and then their city count didn't add much to the score, so they could swing. They couldn't really be countered very easily, and they could up declare on people. So it will help pirates. It increases their ability to raid on ranges, but it makes it so the really big down declares aren't something that can be done. Yeah, because you don't want someone who's got 30 cities hitting someone who's got 20 very easily. And if that is your method of rating, then you need to try harder then. You need to do better. You need to not just be able to only pick on people that have no chance of ever beating you. Not to be the dickhead saying get good, but get good.
Aaron says, sound good on paper about wars where you're zeroed and all you can do is nuke low tier out.
Where you can only what?
And all
I mean,
you can do
you'll still
is
be able
nuke
to
low.
swing down to people that are well below your city count. It's not like the down declare once you're at city 20 is going to only be 15. It's probably going to be something closer to like 12. And hitting much below that at that point is not really good for the mechanics of the game. Sitting on people isn't good for the mechanics of the game. There's going to be the beige rework whenever I'm not being the focus person on that one. I'm assisting with that. I'm putting basically the rest of the team on that while I'm working on other things. And then once they've got the packages, they'll bring them to me and Alex, and we'll work on that. Yeah, the problem with the idea of having more advantages as a raider, it doesn't work for the game at large. The game is not about raiding. The game that has a small subset of people who raid, and there's people who grow early on raiding inactives that don't fight back. But the game is about large political warfare, spats between a whole alliances, not raiding alliances. And when you try to cater exclusively to what makes raiding powerful, it makes alliance warfare broken. It just makes it broken. You can't have a reasonable rating system that is profitable.
So that like you have the rating play style work in a way in which you still have practical, reasonable alliance wars during globals, but like to get to that point would require a much bigger time commitment from Alex. That's probably never going to happen.
You'd have to revamp the entire war system from it'd have to be a whole new war system with the current method.
Yeah.
It's not something feasible. If it was going to happen, Alex would be making a whole new game.
Yeah. So that's why the conversation that we should be having or are having, I suppose, is the incremental changes to try to keep both sides happy.
And the biggest thing people have been asking for the raid community has been lowering city scores, and that will be happening. Like I said, it needs to come with that hard down declare bottom because we can't have grumpy nations and Yar nations and top end of Guardian nations being able to swing at low 20s. It's just someone with 40 cities should not be able to hit someone at 20 cities. It's just stupid for that to exist in terms of the way the mechanics work for this game.
So I'm gonna get City 33 probably tomorrow. What's the lowest I can go?
Like I said, those numbers haven't been squared out yet. What will likely happen when this will be the first thing I bring when the dev group restarts on January 1st. I'll give them a list of my loose suggestions of what they should be. Once they talk about it and feel that we've got a rough idea of what the number should be, we'll bring it to the public and see what the public thinks. The one thing I'm concerned about with that method is the feedback if the people who are just like, well, I don't want to change it all. I don't want to change it all. And that drowns out the constructive conversation of how to actually work with the system. Because if the city score system is if the city score count is going to change, we need these stopgaps at the bottom. And even if people absolutely go, well, I don't want it to change if that's the countermeasure, well, stopgaps might be coming regardless.
What's your proposal for for how low a City 33 can go?
City 33, I would say the lowest I'd want to see them hitting is a 22. That would be the absolute lowest off the top of my head.
Gotcha. It's always fun for me to bully as low a city people as I can go.
Yeah, I think I
That's
hit
always a satisfying
24
feeling.
at 42 in the last war.
Oh, oh man. Oh, that's beautiful. Um, another one of our DMs say you want to talk about what's it? How'd you word it? The estimated timetable for new content. When can we get some new shit to play with?
So we've got the new alliance permissions, the treasure trading, 3 new projects. The hope is all 3 of them will be done before the new year. It really is kind of hinging on how much longer getting alliance permission takes. The other things shouldn't take as much. So the 3 new projects that'll be coming out will be the one that gives an additional project slot, the one that gives the buff to whatever domestic policy you have, so it increases it by 50%. I think across the board. I think the one for your economy might be, I don't know, it's 50% across the board. So they'll, instead of increasing by 5% bonus on whatever the reduction is, it'll go up to 7.5%, and then the one that gives a 1% bonus to income will become a 1.5%. There won't be a hard limit on the up-declare. The up-declare is based on range and range alone. If people want to go kamikazing into the big boys, they're feel free to. And the last one is the resource bonus for smaller nations, and that will cap out at City 15. Once you go above City 15, that project will no longer function in your nation. You won't get a refund for it because it's dirt cheap. It'll be replacing itself, and you won't be able to buy it after City 15 either. Someone also put a suggestion out about continuing the project reduction the city cost projects, 2 more tiers of them. I'm not opposed to that idea, so if people like that idea, we'll probably get those added in, but that'll be after the New Year's conversation. So we'll take a look at those, see if we can, 200 food price per unit time. Yeah. So we'll, I guess everyone can start hoarding food at the thought of me having a $4 million food project out there for people above City 30. We've also got, I've been given permission to give out credits. I am going to go through the last several months of the game suggestion and game discussion forum and look at people who have been interacting in a positive manner, who have been trying to make suggestions in a constructive and meaningful manner, not just trolling or being an asshat. And I'm going to pick out anywhere from 5 to 10 of them, and everyone gets a credit. And that doesn't mean go flood now. I'm not looking at anything posted after this announcement, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to do it again. I'm hopeful to do it every couple months. I've been credited a certain number of credits for poor wording choices, and we'll be giving those out fairly regularly to kind of reward people for coming up with good ideas, making good suggestions, and I'll be running that. So if you got some good ideas, feel free to post them in a constructive manner.
How about a semi-constructive manner?
Yeah, no, I'm not expecting, like cited an outline, first draft, second draft, final draft, cite human sources, and you can as long as you can start off with a couple sentences of, hey, I have this idea and I'd like to try to flesh it out with some people. and then that breeds a whole conversation, and then we get to an end point where something seems cool.
So, Pri, I never posted the thread because, again, lazy. Did you ever read over my defensive improvements idea that I brought to the show a couple weeks ago?
I did, but I don't remember them. My last couple weeks have been insane. I'm actually at like a 2-week training program at a police academy right now.
Do you remember? So sometimes I forget details, but I'm good at remembering the emotions I get from something. Do you remember the emotions that these suggestions gave you?
I felt like some hesitancy. I remember hesitancy. But there was definitely some good ideas in it. Maybe not the whole
It's
thing,
a
but
big change.
there were some nuggets. Like one of the nuggets that I liked in a thread was about um what are they called? Superiorities. Drew a blank there for a second. Anyone hear that car crash? Superiorities being able to reduce over time. So let's say you get air superiority and then you don't do any air attacks for the next X amount of turns. Well, maybe the effect on tanks isn't as strong. It steadily declines over time. Yeah, I said car
Gotcha.
crashes and the car crash that happened inside my head when I lost my train of thought.
So, any other game suggestions, game development news, anything else to go over?
Not too many changes coming to the military units themselves. The bombardment attack thing, I'm going to put that on hold for a little while. Uh, ship damage is going to get a little bit of a buff. Bombing runs are going to get a slight nerf where they don't kill as many defending planes. Because you could have like a bombing run where you kill like 5,000 tanks and 400 of their defending planes, and it's like it's a lot in one go.
There was some discourse over giving ships like an anti-air damage amount. So if you airstrike a bunch of ships, you'd lose some aircraft because presumably the ships would have anti-air weapons. Has there been any chatter about that?
Yeah, it comes and goes. You know, the if anything, I really see the idea of ships being able to destroy some improvements being a more likelihood than them killing other units outside of units maybe stored in those uh, improvements. So, but I don't think, yeah, no, those actually attack able to destroy military buildings, so it wouldn't actually kill any units at all, ever. But I feel like whenever the talk has come up, that has been more where it's leaned than them being able to kill units. I'm not against it, but um,
It, is there any argument against it though? Because I mean, it makes planes a little weaker, and it seems like it'd be an easy thing to implement.
I thought tanks were the OP unit these days. Tanks, the benefit of
They
planes is once you
probably
have the
are.
skies, you don't lose units. The downside to ground units is you're still theoretically losing soldiers and tanks on your attacks.
Gotcha. Well, I think that is about it then. I don't have much else to go over if you don't. Anything else you want to say?
We'll probably get some new people in the dev team once we restart it in January. I know there's a few people itching to get in, so we'll restructure some things, get some fresh faces in there, and start hopefully come up with what the new beige system is going to look like. Said I'm going to do my best to not really be in on the ground floor of that conversation. I'll come in towards the end and start making some small tweaks if they're needed, and then bring it to the community. I think everyone scared Roberts away with his last thread. So back to just me being the mouthpiece.
he got dunked on so hard, so quick. The poor guy. He didn't really deserve it.
The worst part was he was so happy about it at first. Like he was like, "Oh, everyone's gonna love this. This is gonna be great. I think I got one." And then,
Oh no! Oh, poor guy. All right. So thank you, Pre, for coming on. I'll leave you unmuted for now. Which I'm going to discuss stupid real life politics stuff. So you're free to go if you want. I'll leave you unmuted because I like you, and if you want to chime in on anything, I'll
appreciate it.
let you.
I'm gonna head out
but-
though. I've had too much talking about the Rittenhouse trial at that academy I was talking about. So I'll catch you later.
All right. You have a good one, Pre. All right. So, warning from here for the next 15 minutes, it's going to be nothing but gay real life politics. So, if you're not into that, now is the time to punch out your card and to go home. In which case, I'll see you next Friday. I'm going to mainly it's going to be the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, but I'll give my input on like a few other things if I can remember them. Remember, I'm tired. I'm ready to go to bed, so my mind is not functioning. I mean, my mind is normally only working at about 60 to 70%. Right now, it's more like 20 to 30. So, could be better. But anyways, so today marks the end of week 2 of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. And Kyle Rittenhouse, depending on who you ask, is either a absolute saint and based who killed criminals in defense of Kenosha, or he's a white supremacist, racist, fascist who murdered 2 innocent people in cold blood. Or you lean somewhere in the middle. And so he's on trial. He's facing like 3 different murder charges. If convicted, I don't think he'll get the death penalty. I don't think his state has it, but he'll definitely get like life in prison. Like he's fucked. And it's like he has a bunch of other charges too. Like if he gets convicted, he's in a lot of trouble. Today I've been watching the trial. I kept a close eye on it for a while, but these past couple days, it's basically been the main thing I've been paying attention to in the mornings and afternoons. And I've been watching Nick Rekieta's live streams, in which it's Nick Rekieta who's a criminal defense lawyer, and he has a panel of other criminal defense lawyers, and they give commentary as the trial goes on, live commentary. So it's been really fun to watch them. And the takeaway has been, number one, the prosecution has sucked. All of the prosecution's witnesses has basically proved the defense's case for them. Observation number 2, Kyle Rittenhouse should not have testified. That was really dumb. Observation number 3, the defense is not trying nearly as hard as they should have they did not object as much as they should have when Rittenhouse was testifying. And the defense really screwed up today because today they were holding motions on jury instructions. And the prosecution asked to, when it comes to instructing the jury on how they should come to their verdict with the facts of the case, the prosecution motioned to throw in there the idea that Kyle Rittenhouse provoked the situation. And the judge granted it, and he asked the defense what the judge was the basis for the provocation thing is this incredibly blurry image that you really can't make out anything of. It's complete bullshit. And the judge was like rolling his eyes, like he was not buying it. But when he asked the defense what they thought, the defense chose not to contest it. And the problem with the provocation thing is that if a jury member buys the provocation thing, then the whole self-defense thing kind of gets thrown out. Because you don't have the same standard to self-defense when you provoke the encounter. And so, like, I mean, the jury is still going to have to think that the blurry image means something when, like, even the judge basically said in a nicer way that it was bullshit. And so, also as part of the motions today, the judge allowed for the jury to be able to find Kyle guilty of lesser charges. And so I think before I thought Kyle would be acquitted, but I think on these lesser charges, I think they're going to get him. I think Kyle is going to be found guilty on these lesser charges, and I think he's probably going to face over a decade in prison. So we'll see what happens. The prosecutors are shitheads. I don't like them, especially Binger. Binger's a shithead. I don't like. I mean, you guys, like, if you've been watching me long enough, you know I already hate prosecutors anyways. They're basically the scum of the earth, and they're all evil, and they all care about furthering their career before anything else. And if they were good attorneys, they would be in private practice, but they're not. They're only able to win because they have the whole power of the state behind them, and they stack the deck as much in their favor as possible. That's why they have like a 98% conviction rate. You don't get a 98% conviction rate because you play by all the rules and are the most fair. I hate prosecutors. I want to be a lawyer. You can totally hold both of those viewpoints. There are many, many, many lawyers who are not prosecutors. There are many prosecutors who go on to become lawyers in private practice. So like politicians, district attorneys can be elected. They literally are politicians. And they will pick up cases for the political career. That's what happened in the George Zimmerman case. Regardless of your opinion on George Zimmerman, the legal facts were on his side, and the prosecutor only brought the case to win re-election, which she did. That's what's happening in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. The head district attorney Rittenhouse case, they're both assistant district attorneys. The head district attorney declined to pick up the case. You know why? Because there is no case. Because it's purely a political prosecution. Boric, I want to be a lawyer and defend violent criminals, pedophiles, and serial killers. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but that is ethically a perfectly fine position to have, because everyone has the right to a competent defense, and a criminal defense attorney should give the best defense possible to all clients because that's their constitutional right, which is a human right. And like you shouldn't, like, you need to give a defense to everyone as the best possible, not for the pedos and violent criminals, but for the innocent people who get swept up into a shitty, broken system. And you can be an attorney and not be a prosecutor and not defend actual criminals. Like, you can just do civil cases. Family law or elder law. Like, there's a lot of different kinds of law. You could be like what's a new branch of law? Like video game law, entertainment law, AI law. There's gonna be a whole new branch of law dedicated to like artificial intelligence. Like when the Tesla car runs over the baby in the carriage, like that's going to create a whole new thing, you know. So, or a corporate law. Well, the corporations only hire like the best, newest, like law school graduates. So that doesn't really count. I couldn't do it. I knew the guy I defended was good to being a serial killer. I don't think I had a case to defend. Well, and it could be that he's not a serial killer, but that the state thinks he is. Like there are tons. I don't say tons, but there are plenty of people who don't do anything wrong, but at the end of the day, the cops just want to go home. Everyone just wants to do the least amount of work possible to do their job. That is human nature. The cops want to do the least amount of stuff possible. If the cops have a reason to suspect John Smith, and John Smith naively talks to the cops and comes in for an interview without speaking to an attorney because John Smith has done nothing wrong, and the cops are good people, and the cops are honest people, and the cops, will listen to him when he says he's innocent and wasn't there when Jane Doe got her spine ripped out by a knife. And then John Smith gets arrested and charged with murder and is looking at the death penalty. Then it's up to Jimmy Bob, the local criminal defense attorney, to help him out the best he can. And maybe you can be that attorney, and maybe you can help the innocent man help him. Kills Bob. Big war, like 4% of people executed in the U.S. are innocent. Exactly. And the Innocence Project does a great job at this, but like, this is how evil prosecutors are. There will be DNA evidence that shows that the guy that they are prosecuting or did prosecute and did get a guilty verdict, they were actually innocent. And here is the undeniable DNA evidence. And the prosecutors will either like not allow that evidence to be submitted. They will like keep pressing the charges even though objectively they didn't do the crime. Like, I'm not just being a stupid libertarian boomer when I say prosecutors are evil. No, they're evil. They are evil. They are bad people. They can do good things. I'm an anarchist, but when the Border Patrol arrests child traffickers who are trying to traffic underage children, that is the state operating at its best. When the local prosecutor prosecutes, the serial rapist in the bad part of town, state operating at its best. And that should happen. Criminals should go to prison. There should be a mechanism through which criminals go to prison. Around. Because I hear about what happens in Europe. And like Europe really doesn't do much better. Like in Italy, the judges and prosecutors work together. How do you That doesn't sound good. Now maybe they have better outcomes. I don't know. Maybe it's better over there. Just knowing that fact alone, that sounds sus as fuck. That's a sussy baka situation. Um, in some European countries, like in the United States, you can appeal your criminal case. Like if you get convicted, there's no downside to appealing. Most appeals don't work. Like I think 10% of appeals work, but there's no reason not to do it if you can. So pretty much whenever there's a conviction, they always appeal because no reason not to. In Europe, if you appeal, it's common for the prosecutor to either charge you with more crimes or to push for a longer sentence. So if you there was a case of a consensual cannibalism. This one guy met up with this other guy on this fetish cannibalism site. This is a shitty example, but I know of it, so I'm going with it. And so the guy agreed to be killed and eaten as part of this fetish with this other guy. And of course, this was found out, and he was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison. And the guy appealed and said, "Look, he consented to this." And the judge, like on appeal, said, "No, actually, I'm not convinced that he did consent." And that 20-year sentence got turned into a life sentence. So, not exactly like the best situation. But as fucked as the American system is, it might be like the best one around. So there you go. In the Rittenhouse case, the prosecutors came very close. I mean, they still might get a mistrial. The defense, today, I think the prosecution did their motions and stuff. I think either tomorrow or Monday when they resume, it will be the defense's turn. And the defense did file for a mistrial with dismissal with prejudice, which means the trial ends because of prosecution misconduct. The charges get dropped with prejudice, which basically means Kyle walks free. And so, will the judge grant it? Probably not. The judge is probably scared of getting beaten up by the mob or something. Probably won't happen. But it came close. The judge has yelled at the prosecutor several times. So, we'll see what happens. At first, when I did the poll before the trial, I predicted Kyle gets acquitted of the murder charges. I think Kyle will be convicted of some charges, and I think he'll face over a decade in prison. I think it's going pretty bad for him. So now I'm going to give my thoughts on the Rittenhouse case. As in, not just like this is what I think. So what the trial has shown, the trials even helped me to deepen my understanding of the events. Kyle Rittenhouse was driven by his mom to Kenosha, which was 30 minutes away from his house. It was across state lines. Some people think that he lived hours away. By car, it was like a 30-minute drive. But yes, it was across state lines. He went there. I believe in Kenosha, he was given a gun, and they spent the day like cleaning graffiti off of a building. And then prior to the shooting taking place, he was walking around asking people if they needed medical help. And I think he did have a little medical bag on him. And so what transpired next was Rosenbaum threatened to kill Kyle. sometime later, we see Kyle is running away from Rosenbaum in this parking lot. Rosenbaum Rosenbaum charges at Kyle, and as he gets close to Kyle, Kyle lights him up and shoots him, and he dies very shortly thereafter. This crowd then begins to charge at Kyle. Kyle runs away. His adrenaline is pumping. He trips over his own feet. He falls to the ground. Skateboard guy Huber hits him on the back of the head with a skateboard. Kyle shoots him. He dies like immediately. Another unknown guy kicks him in the head. Kyle shoots at him, misses. He runs away. I forget the name of the last guy. It's like Gross something. I'm just gonna call him G. G approaches him, holds his hands up like he's surrendering. Kyle lowers his weapon. Then the guy quickly draws his pistol, points it at Kyle, and Kyle shoots him and blows off part of his bicep and wounds him. And I think most of us have seen the pictures of that. So then Kyle gets up and walks away, runs away, turns himself into the police shortly thereafter. And that is the events that transpired. I am of the opinion that Kyle is in the right. Kyle's greatest mistake was being naive. I don't know what started the confrontation between Rosenbaum and Kyle. That's kind of the mystery. The prosecution alleges that he pointed his gun at Rosenbaum and then Rosenbaum charged him, but Kyle was running away and Rosenbaum if you're scared of someone, you're not going to charge them from 50 feet away. That's kind of retarded. And Rosenbaum also threatened to kill him. So that isn't I don't buy that. I think the prosecution's theory was that the mob was acting in self-defense, but again, they Kyle tripped. They closed the distance to him. The argument used against Kyle is that he shouldn't have played the hero, but all the people who attacked him shouldn't have tried to play the hero either. So that's kind of I don't buy that argument. So the point to argue about is the greatest fallback line is that Kyle crossed state lines with a firearm, had a firearm that he shouldn't have, and I'm willing to concede Kyle shouldn't have been there. Okay, this kid and his friends who were with him, they were all very naive. Okay, this is not something I would do. I would not travel to these riots with a gun. Maybe in a different time, in a different era, in different circumstances, maybe I would. But the political circumstances of 2021, I don't know. I think we live in a very dark time. And I've actually seen firsthand, not with violence, but through other means, just how quickly, decisively, mercilessly, and thoroughly that the American regime will destroy a person. I don't mean obliterate them with a missile, although I've seen that too through videos. But I've seen in person how when the state wants your ass, they will get your ass. And there's nothing you can do about it. You're just fucked. And I would not want to make an enemy of the state like what Kyle did. Because fundamentally, see, the reason during the riots of last year, the American regime was on the side of the rioters. That's why the rioters was allowed to do what they did. Okay? Black Lives Matter and Antifa will be allowed to destroy whatever they want. But like the Proud Boys can't do that. The QAnon boomers can't do that. The Tea Party couldn't do that. If right wingers tried to do what happened last summer, they would all be shot dead by the National Guard. And so Kyle's actual crime was he took shots at proxy members for the regime, essentially. And that's why all of these rioters were able to go free, but Kyle is looking at life in prison. And there's this tendency going on now within power structures in the United States to deny liability. So, for example, this is just a thought experiment here. Let's say your parent can be your mom, can be your dad, pick one. Your parent is in the hospital in their final, like, maybe they've had a horrific injury, maybe it's a terminal illness, they're dying. They're going to be gone pretty soon. And it's May of last year. Okay, COVID is going strong, and your hospital won't let you see your dying parent because of COVID. And you're not allowed to see your dying parent. And this did happen to people. And it happened to people. I think it's still happening to people because some hospitals still won't let you visit your family member. And your parent passes away. Who do you blame? You weren't able to see your dying parent. Who do you blame? Like, you should be able to see them, but you weren't allowed to. Who do you blame? Do you blame the hospital? Well, the hospital will say, well, look, there's this disease. The government told us to. The state health department told us to. You can't blame us. Okay, let's blame the government. What's the government going to say? Well, the government's going to say, look, hospitals, the governor's going to say, well, look, hospitals, they had to decide their own policies. And look, there's this disease, it's not my fault as governor. Okay, let's blame the disease. Well, how can we help the disease? Well, the disease, it's the unvaccinated's fault. If only, no, actually, the vaccine wasn't around in May. It's the people who didn't wear masks. It's their fault. If you didn't wear a mask and you didn't social distance, it's your fault. Well, okay, but that's everyone. Like, at some point or another, everyone went without a mask or unknowingly transmitted COVID. Like, I can't blame everyone. Like, there was this complete abdication of responsibility among the authorities during the summer of last year. And like, corporations kind of do this. Like, when it comes to safety in the United States, it's not about harm reduction. It's about lessening liability, because lawsuits are expensive. Lawsuits kill things. Lawsuits kill people's financial freedom. Lawsuits kill companies. Lawsuits are terrible. So everyone just wants to decrease their liability, even if it doesn't make anyone actually safer. And politicians, they don't want to accept responsibility for anything either, because that doesn't help them. Because if they accept responsibility for something that's their fault, their approval rating goes down by 3 points, and they might lose re-election, or they might be fired if they're like more of a middle manager guy for an agency. So there's no incentive for them to accept responsibility. So no one wants to ever accept responsibility for anything. It's always someone else's fault. And people wonder why trust and the institutions are failing, why no one trusts the media, why no one trusts the government, why no one trusts anything anymore, because no one wants to show leadership in anything. And so during last year, during the Summer of Love, people are mad over George Floyd dying. People are restless from being confined in their home for months. They take to the streets and they protest, which is fine. But then you have bad actors come in from outside these areas and stir shit. Probably on George Soros's bankroll, but I digress. And Kyle Rittenhouse, a fucking dumbass, a complete fucking dumbass who goes back and forth between being a nurse and being a paramedic and being a cop, because this dumb fuck just wants to help people, because he doesn't know just how shitty things are and how he only really needs to care about himself, because if he doesn't, he's going to get fucked, just like he did get fucked because he's a stupid fucking kid and he didn't know better. He decides he wants to make a difference. So he gets his mom, his loving mom, who loves her 17-year-old boy to death, because like that's what good moms do, and she takes him to Kenosha, where his friend gives him a gun, because guns are great deterrents, and they try to help. They clean up graffiti. They try to patrol around this car lot or whatever the hell, and then something goes wrong somewhere. I don't know where. I don't think it's come out in trial. Something goes wrong, and Kyle is put into the position that some gun owners very stupidly jerk themselves off thinking about, when in reality, if push come to shove, they would probably shit their pants and get themselves killed if they were in this position themselves. But Kyle actually feels like he has to use his gun to protect himself, which is a nightmare scenario for any reasonable gun owner. And God help him, he doesn't just have to shoot one person, he feels like he has to shoot 4, and 2 of them die. And one of them doesn't die, but gets fucked pretty badly. And this dumb kid, he shouldn't have been there, but he went anyways because he wanted to make a difference. Because he wanted to bring order to a community that had none. At a time where the fucking pigs have the strongest unions and the highest salaries ever, they chose to stand in a nice conga line with their big shield and their baton and watch businesses burn. Businesses which pay a shit ton of money in taxes just to watch that tax money sit by the sideline when they're needed most. And this dumb, stupid fucking kid put it on himself to try to make a difference. And after the decision makers of our society said, nope, you're on your own, this dumb kid took our, quote, leaders at their word and tried to make a difference. And then something went wrong somewhere. We'll never know what, probably. He was put in a shitty situation, and he exercised his God-given right to self-defense. And now his life's over. I mean, he might get acquitted. And, like, before today, like, he was probably going to get found guilty on the misdemeanor weapon possession charge, but that's like 9 months. Like, he would get off time served. And he would get offered time served, and, like, half the country hates him he could probably find a job working like the My Pillow guy or something. He would be fine. His life, Kyle Rittenhouse could rebuild, but now with these lesser charges, I think Kyle Rittenhouse will go to prison probably for quite a long time. Not death sentence, but his life is fundamentally altered, and his nightmare is probably just beginning. So we'll see what happens. I don't think Kyle Rittenhouse is a bad guy. I think his crime was being naive. He really cynically he shouldn't have been there. I think he had good intentions. I think in an ideal world, more people would do what he had done. If 500 people like Kyle Rittenhouse went to Kenosha, no shots would have had to have been fired. But a kid by himself, not enough force to do anything. And the people to get mad at is the decision makers in our society who let law and order stop existing for whatever reason last year. And I just don't think he crossed state lines. He crossed state lines. That doesn't at the end of the day, there is every indication that Kyle Rittenhouse is like a good kid from what I've seen at the trial. Okay, yeah. His fucking his TikTok username was 4 doors more whores. That's funny. That's a funny rhyme. And okay, fine. He got out on bail. He wore a t-shirt that said free as fuck, and then he took a picture with a couple of Proud Boys. Guess what? If you fucked up big time and every power structure in the country turned against you and said you were evil and said you should be killed, and the government is trying to kill you because they want to throw you in prison for the rest of your life, and everyone hates you, and your life is fundamentally over as you know it, and there's one group of people who are like, hey bud, how are you? Come join us. Guess what? You're going to go over to them and you're going to hang out with them because they're showing you something that the rest of society is not giving you. And humans are social creatures, and when everyone's giving you the bird except for one other entity, you're going to go to that entity because the people who didn't in the past, they died. But there you go. So there you go. That was my. I'm concentrating hard saying all this, so my eyes have been closed. So I have not been reading the chat. So if you guys have been responding to what I've been saying, I have been reading none of it. So there you go on that. Let me scan through the chat here. You guys are able to hear me, right? Type 1 in chat. Okay, thank you guys. So that's what I think. I think Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent, and none of the arguments against him hold water. If God descended from the heavens and gave us a 4K 360 video in 60 frames per second showing Kyle Rittenhouse definitely provoking the situation and forcing himself into a specific situation in which he had to shoot people, then my opinion might change. But barring that, I don't think he did anything wrong. Objectively super wrong that justifies what has happened to him in society and in the courts. And I think that's all I got to say on that. Because anything else would just be repeating myself. Like again, he shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been there. But like he crossed state lines. He shouldn't be in life in prison over. Sometimes I wonder if maybe because you have to think about it. Like he's already been to jail some for like a year or 6 months or something, and like he's going to have trouble finding employment, and he's going to be harassed for years to come, and he's going to read about so much vitriol against him on the internet for a long time to come. Like he has suffered a lot and will continue to suffer for a long time. Like that's a punishment in and of itself, let alone what the courts would do. So I mean, I think if he did do anything wrong, that's punishment enough. But like, it was confirmed today that he has PTSD, and I don't know. But anyways, I think that's all I got to say on Kyle Rittenhouse. I hope he gets acquitted. I hope he can walk. I don't think he will. 98% conviction rate. I know of plenty of attorneys who think the defense has done a shit job. And so we'll see what happens, but I hope he's able to walk. And so we'll see what happens. Silver lining. I've seen even progressives talk about how there is a big difference between what they thought of the case, thanks to the media, and what the reality of the case is that they've seen play out in court, and how the media has just lied. So I'm glad to see even like woke progressives be red pilled on how the media is just, the corporate press is just malfeasant and also evil. So silver lining there. And if Kyle Rittenhouse is convicted, then conservatives, like boomer conservatives who are kind of useless anyways, they will also lose even more faith in the courts. And that's also good, because the quicker that broader society stops seeing our institutions as legitimate, the more likely that we can experience a positive change for the better. So that's the silver lining of the situation. And if he's acquitted on all or most charges, then the woke progressives will freak out, which is funny to me, and a good man walks away. So no, I mean like organized institutions, big board, like the courts, the government, the corporate press, Hollywood, corporations, some NGOs. Like organized, centralized institutions, the power structures, or the superstructures, if you will. This fucking terminology. Ugh. Okay, I think I'm done. Austria is instituting a new stay-at-home order, but only for the unvaccinated. So the unvaccinated will be forced at gunpoint to stay at home, whereas the vaccinated can continue their semi-normal lives. So that's pretty cool. Austria, Austria, the European country. So that is really cool. Given what Austrians like to do from historical precedent, maybe we will soon have internment camps for the unvaccinated. So that will also be really cool. I look forward to my bunk bed at the FEMA camp coming to the United States, probably late next year. And that's exciting. Some school district was creating a dossier on parents that were advocating against a CRT taught in school. That is also really cool. I love it. It's not just enough that like corporations have to spy on me, like Facebook and Discord and Google. It's not enough that the government has to spy on me by also like archiving all my emails that I send through Gmail. It's very it fills me with joy that if I was a parent and I was vocal about critical race theory being taught at my school, that the local school board might also spy on me. I am so glad that everyone that has power in my life is able to spy on my every move. That is really, 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 really cool. There were some other things. But I'm blanking on them now. That's all I can think of. There was some other stuff, but I can't think of them. I think that's it. I think that's all I got to talk about. Sorry for the dead air. I'm just thinking. Again, sorry for the dead air, but I'm again. I should have been in bed 2 hours ago. So, and I've already done this show for 2 hours. So, my mind is kind of blanking on things to go over. I think I'm at peak capacity here. Yeah, I think I am. Oh, Joe Biden dropped the N word yesterday. Not the hard R, but the one that's spelled NEG. That's old, and I won't spill the rest. He said that at his speech yesterday, and that's really funny. And like, it's also funny how like if anyone used that word, they're immediately canceled. But when Joe Biden uses it, all of the corporate press immediately just run interference for him. So that's really cool. Vanilla Brawl. Yeah, I've seen this one too. They're offering that to who get the thing. So that's peak humor right there, though. Although nobody's even publishing it. Publishing what, Aaron? I don't know what you're referring to there. Oh, I remember now. The FBI raided Project Veritas, James O'Keefe. They raided his house because he supposedly he had Joe Biden's like a woman relative of Joe Biden. Like James O'Keefe supposedly had her diary, and the FBI raided his house over it. So that is also really cool. I'm really happy that the government is able. I don't know. Just, of course, they would do that, you know. Yeah, that was my final thing. I think I just wanted to go over the James O'Keefe thing, and I think I'm done. I think I really am done now. It's 11:04. I need to eat and then probably go to bed. So I am pretty much done. Nah. There's one more thing. There's one more thing I should touch on, but what should it be? So I don't think anything happened with Trump. I can't think of anything with Kamala Harris. Guys, what's one more topic? What's one more thing that happened in the past week that I need to? Oh, I know something. The founder of Something Awful, Richard Lotax, he died. He killed himself. He was in like a family law thing with one of his ex-wives, and apparently he got a bad judgment against him. And an hour after the bad judgment, he shot himself. So the founder of Something Awful, Richard Lotax, he is dead. And Something Awful is the community that Goons came from. So I thought that was interesting. Not that I'm happy that he's dead. That's not the case at all. But just interesting little story. And a Shadman has been arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. And Shadman is a like semi-famous or infamous, I guess, like hentai comic porn drawer who's been inactive for like a couple of years now. Okay, that's it. Some non-politics, funny little side stories there, and now we are done for realsies. That's fuck it. Final call, real life. Any final topics to go over, or am I done for today? This was a 2-hour show. I am very pleased with that. I love 2-hour shows. That's a good amount of time to ramble on about stuff. But I'm ready to go to bed now. Just gotta eat first. Okay, no one's giving me any other topics. We are good to go. Kills Bob, play the theme. Soup, end the recording when the theme is done.
Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Thalmor Radio. Yeah, he's coming at you from the top. Oh no, no, he won't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
Good night.